Today, we're just going to give a brief overview of the three branches of government. As you'll see in the video, I questioned some people that I know around town to see what they know about basically the government and us. The video is called The Government and You. So first of all, the question was, what are the three branches of government?
Executive, legislative, and judicial.
Do you know what each branch does?
I think the legislative does the laws. Judicial, I think, enforces. And executive.
Okay, Patty, can you tell me what the three branches of government are?
Yes, I believe it is the executive, the legislative, and the judicial.
Do you know what each branch does?
I know the legislative branch makes the laws and policies. The executive branch is the president, and the judicial, I believe, is the Supreme Court.
The executive branch of the government is headed by the president. He carries out the federal laws and recommends new ones. He directs the national defense and foreign policy. He commands the armed forces, deals with international powers, and acts as the chief law enforcement officer. The legislative branch is headed by Congress, which includes the House of Representatives and the Senate. The main task of these two bodies is to make the laws. Its powers include passing laws, originating spending bills, that's the House, impeaching officials. Now, there are checks and balances to the system. The three branches were established so that not one branch could become all-powerful. For example, the president may veto a law that is passed by Congress. Congress can override the veto with a 2/3 vote by both houses. And another example is the Supreme Court may check Congress by declaring a law as unconstitutional. This is all balanced by the fact that members of the Supreme Court are appointed by the president. But the appointment has to be approved by Congress. So everything is checked and balanced.
Okay, so we have two major Democratic parties, major political parties, the Democrats and the Republicans. Do you know what the third party is?
So we have three major political parties in this country, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Do you know what the third party is? George Washington is the only president elected as an independent, as he was not affiliated with any party during his 2 terms. The independent vote, which is the third party, because we have the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and now the Independent Party. What the Independent Party tends to do is take votes away from either two parties. Generally, the candidate that's running as a presidential independent does not have a lot of support throughout the United States, and the system became a two-party system very early on. That we had the Federalists who were in favor of the Constitution when it was first created, and they supported the federal administration. These supporters included merchants, creditors, and a lot of the artisans and more of your wealthy people. Opponents of the Federalists were called the Democratic Republican, or often referred to just as the Republican, and they were drawn from all segments of America, including farmers and a lot of the ethnic groups, which included, at the time, a lot of Irish, a lot of Germans. In 1824 to 1828, the Republican Party split into two. There was the Jacksonian faction, which became the Democratic Party in 1830, and the Henry Clay faction, which became the Whig Party. Jackson wanted greater democracy for the common man. However, the Republican Party, which also became known as the Grand Old Party, claimed success for saving the Union and abolishing slavery. The Democratic Party is the oldest party in the country. It supports labor in economics as well as social matters. Today, most Republicans support the conservative platform. Generally, what that candidate has been shown to do in examples like Ross Perot, they tend to take votes away from the third party. Refers to any party running for a seat or for an election that is not part of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. For an example, Ross Perot in 1992 ran under the Reform Party. Ross Perot won 19% of the vote. This helped Clinton win. Had Ross Perot not run for president, that 19% would have gone to Bush, changing the election results, and that's one way in which a third party can affect the race. In 1912, Theodore Roosevelt lost an election, so he started a third party. He started his own Progressive Party, and he ran against Wilson. And then a fourth party, the Socialists, decided to run. The results gave Wilson 27% of the vote. He came in second place, and Wilson won the election. Wilson won that election with 42% of the vote. Combining the total votes of Roosevelt and Taft, the Republican candidate would have won had there not been a third party, and Wilson would not have won the election. That's another example of where the third party can affect the outcome of an election. Two major parties.
Okay. And do you know how a bill becomes a law?
Yes. It gets voted on by the legislative, and I believe the executive signs off on it once it passes.
Okay, great. Thank you for participating.
Yes, a bill is usually generated by a legislator, either at the state level or the U.S. level, and it is introduced into a committee. If the committee approves of it, it goes on to be voted with the full House. If it passes the full House, then it goes on to the Senate committee. And then if it makes it out of that Senate committee, it goes to the floor of the Senate, and they vote on it. And if it's approved by the Senate, then it then goes on to the president or the governor for their signature. Or they can also veto it, and then it goes back and it kind of starts the process over again.
Very good. You seemed well informed on your government, but you were a state legislator.
How does a bill become a law?
Thank you for your input.
Any member of Congress can introduce legislation, aka a bill, and in doing so, they become the sponsor of that bill. Once a bill is introduced, it gets sent to a specific committee. There, the committee will carefully consider the bill, look to see if any changes need to be made, and check to see if it has a chance to pass. If the committee decides to do nothing on the bill, then the bill is dead. Oftentimes, a bill will go to a subcommittee. At the subcommittee, the bill will have hearings and will be reviewed and studied. The hearings provide an opportunity to review and hear the views of the executive branch and other experts that support or oppose the bill. After the hearing, it could go to what's called the markup. After the hearing, the subcommittee may want to meet to make changes to help get the bill pushed through to the full committee. If the subcommittee does not vote to bring the bill to the full committee, the bill dies. Or if they vote for it to be sent, it moves on. After reviewing the report on the bill, the committee votes to recommend to send it to the House or Senate. This is called ordering a bill reported. So basically, this step is the committee takes action to report a bill. Next is voting. After debating the bill and any opposed amendments or approved amendments, the bill is passed or defeated by voting members. From there, the bill goes to referral to the chamber. When passed, the bill is referred to the other chamber where it follows the same route. The committee and floor action. The chamber can approve as received, reject, ignore, or change the bill. Then comes conference committee action. When the actions of the chamber significantly change the bill, a conference committee is formed to determine what the changes were made to the House and Senate's version of the bill. If the conference committee can't reach a verdict, the legislation dies. If reached, both the House and Senate must approve of the changes that were made. And the final action, once both the House and the Senate approve the exact same bill, written the exact same way, it goes to the President. If the President approves and signs it, it becomes law. Or if he does nothing and takes no action, if he takes no action for 10 days while Congress is in session, it automatically becomes a law. If he opposes it, he can veto it or take no action after Congress has adjourned, and then it's called a pocket veto, and that legislation dies. And that is how a bill becomes a law.
This has been The Government and You. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.